there playing peanuts.
Last Friday, I saw Joe Rogan live in Tampa as part of his 2021 Sacred Clown Tour. A lot of you are excited to hear about it, see how it went, hear about the show and the tour. Also, a lot of you are saying Joe Rogan is trash, his stand-up is terrible, and that I shouldn't go. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about the show and how I thought it went. So when I said that I was going to the show, there were a ton of comments saying Joe is a great podcaster, but not a good comedian. People saying that he's an interviewer, not a comic, which is something you hear a lot about Joe. One comment even said, "Oh, you think Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe are funny? Unsubscribed," which is funny because it's a comedy channel and you're unsubscribing because I said a professional comedian is funny. Also, there's 15 Joe Rogan videos on this channel, so I'm not sure how you're just finding out that I think he's funny or that millions of other people think he's funny. Anyway, Joe Rogan being a great podcaster but an average comedian is something I feel like you hear a lot, which to some extent might be true if you're comparing him to his friends that go on his podcast too, like Burr and Segura and Dave Chappelle. Yeah, he might not be at that level, but if you enjoy his podcast and listen to the Joe Rogan Experience, you're going to like this stand-up show. It's a lot of similar topics he talks about on his show. So if you listen to his podcast, this show will have a familiar tone to you. You like hearing him talk about, censorship, his family, politics, even Elon Musk. There's jokes about all of this in his act. We all had to lock our phones up in these magnetic bags at the beginning of the show, which I really liked because no one was on their phone and the comics were completely uncensored. Joe was really unfiltered, saying things that you would never hear him say on his podcast. So I actually did like the bags. Obviously, his stand-up is not quite as popular as his podcast, but saying that Joe Rogan is just a podcaster and not a good comedian makes no sense to me. He's still in that small percentage of people that can sell out arenas all across the country. I was laughing the whole show. Every joke hit. It was a great show. Granted, I was super drunk, so that might have had something to do with it, but I thought it was hilarious. The show was supposed to start at 8. We got to the arena around 7:50. The lines were out the door, obviously, but it didn't take that long to get in. They put your phone in the magnetic bags, and then we went to our seats. Probably sat down around 8:15. The first comic didn't come out till about 9. So there was an hour there where we had nothing to do. Our phones were locked up, so all we could do was keep drinking. So we were pounding beers during that. By the time the show started, everyone was just trash in the whole arena. 20,000 people ready to see Joe Rogan. Packed crowd, no masks. It was great. It was so dope. Laura Beats was the first opener. She did great. She killed it. I had to pee during her whole set. I'd been drinking all day. I already broke the seal. But then she brought out Tony Hinchcliffe and the place went nuts. I had no idea Tony was going to be there. So that was a treat. He was dressed like a cowboy, came out. He murdered. He talked about getting canceled, talked about moving to Texas. He was completely unfiltered with the phones in the bags. He was amazing. And I still had to pee during that whole set, but then he immediately brought out Joe Rogan, so there was no break, and I didn't want to miss a second of that. So I had to sit there for Rogan's whole hour set, having to piss my pants, but also laughing really hard at the jokes. There was a good 20 minutes where I was considering peeing in one of my beer cans, but there were too many people right next to me. I didn't want the spray to get on them. It hurt so bad to laugh. I had to pee so bad. My stomach was killing me that I actually ended up playing Try Not to Laugh Joe Rogan in real life, which is one of our great videos here on this channel if you'd like to check that out. Quick shameless plug. Laughing for 2 hours with 20,000 people is a great feeling. If you've never been to an arena show, I highly recommend it. Joe brings world-class openers with him. Tony Hinchcliffe was killer. It was so exciting to see Tony, another guy that I really like, that I had no idea was going to be there. At certain points in the show, Joe and Tony both made jokes referencing that they knew people's phones were locked up so they could say whatever they want and not get canceled. They were really just saying crazy shit the whole time. It was awesome. Definitely not politically correct. It was a great show. Everyone in the audience was on the same page, just there to have fun. It was electric. If you like Joe Rogan, I would 100% recommend going to this show. If you think Joe Rogan's stand-up is trash, I would also recommend going to this show and really seeing it for yourself. His podcast is one thing, but his stand-up, if you actually haven't seen it in person, I would completely recommend going before saying that it's trash, that he's just a podcaster, that he's not funny at all. I mean, he's a professional comedian. He's touring. It's not just because of his podcast. Saying he's not funny at all is insane. There's still a good amount of dates left on this tour. So if he's coming to a city near you, I would highly recommend getting a ticket soon. Tickets were only like $50, which for 2 hours of amazing stand-up, that's a pretty good deal. And also Dave Chappelle is on certain dates of this tour, which if you could go to that show, I mean, that would be crazy. I could only imagine how good that would be. And there's always a chance Chappelle could drop in to a different date too. So check out this tour, the Sacred Clown Tour. Go get tickets if they're by you. Hit me up. If you go, let me know what you think. Hope you have fun, and thanks for watching.